this challenge is all about the reporting tools, really. There's a tiny bit of spatial involved. But let's get started. So we have all these UFO sightings, and we've got the US cities area where they are, so that we can join these together. We can first of all create our spatial points, I should say, making sure that we just make sure that longitude goes onto the right field, because I think it initially goes to city. So we join those together on our city and our state names, and then we just want to filter out anything that's after 2019. Well, sorry, anything that's before 2019 is what we're filtering out. We want to keep all that is after 2019, using this date time year on the occurred date time field. So then we're just going to map that out. So the way that we do that is we go into our data, we make sure that in our incoming connections, on the number 1, we want to have our thematic field being the shape, because that's what's going to give us our different colours. And then when we go into layers and we add our points layer of number 1, then that brings up this. We go to our style. We want to change our point style to be a circle. We also want to make it a bit smaller. I just went for a 5 and kind of trial and error to work that out. And then the theme, we're doing a unique value, because each of our shapes of the UFOs are unique values. You know, we want a different color for each of those. We're coloring the method by map, because rather than ramp's kind of like a gradient of when you might have, you know, a numeric value on there. And we're just choosing this top one, this map, but you could choose whatever you want there. And then that's how we get to our map, nice and pretty, with our kind of shapes down the side here. So that's how we do sort of number 1, our map. Now we need to look at creating that table. So we're creating that city and state that we see in the table in the output. And we're also just going to output a year in the same way that we used it in the filter, using that date time year formula. So then we're looking for our top 25 states. So we want to city states. So we group our city state, we count distinct the IDs of the sightings to make our total sightings. We sort those in a descending order and take only the first 25 using the sample tool. Then we're wanting to look at basically, we want to know what the most active year is, so we need to join back in all of those sightings on the city and the state, but just for the 25 most common sighting areas. And then we're just going to group by our city and state still, and then our year, more importantly, so we can work out our most active year. And we're going to count distinct the IDs again, and we're just grouping by our total sightings that we worked out before. Then when we do a very similar thing where we're grouping by each city and state, we're descending order the sightings in the most active year, and then we're just kind of sampling out our first one there, so that we have for each state the most active year, making sure that we group by our city and state to make sure that we get 25 records back. Then we're just making sure that's sorted again into descending order for our total sightings, so that we can just build our table. Didn't change any of the configuration in the table. And our last element is just to create our headings. So we create our heading literally just by typing in our UFO sightings, and then we union those together, configuring by position, because we have the report element in the first column for each of these, if you see here. So we just want to stack those on top of each other. I made sure that I set the specific output order as well, you know, joining them in at the correct intervals, so that then we get the desired output as was prescribed to us up here. So I hope that that was useful, and thank you for listening.